to another scene. Set in Chronicles of Darkness, Vampire the Requiem, Requiem for London. Tonight, we set the scene in Figment's favourite cemetery in the Tower Hamlets. The Baroness has made the unusual move of coming to you, Figment, instead of the other way around, and has said that she will meet you and whatever aid you have enlisted there. As for you, Hartwell, you are looking at a rather cosy looking graveyard with a few stray gravestones and a small mausoleum. I believe, Figment, you said I had a mausoleum.
Probably. Sure.
Yeah, it's not very big. The graveyard is very small.
Hartwell enters the graveyard. He's going to have a briefcase with him.
I will spend a dot of blood to activate Essentiaphasia, just to have it so I can see all my ghost friends.
I'll also activate Ujet so I can do the exact same.
Alright, so you both look into Twilight. You see a couple dozen ghosts.
I am going to keep an eye out for any ghosts that I don't recognize that might be spies, since that was a thing
Do you like to
I was
make
told
me
to look out for.
a wits plus composure check?
Sure.
Because you're actively looking for unwanted third parties.
Nope.
Okay. Well, whether you have an unwanted follower or not, you're not entirely sure.
There's nobody obfuscated here, is there, Chris?
No. At least
Okay.
nothing that would warrant an Auspex check.
Cool.
So, as you spend a few minutes in the graveyard, getting to know the local wildlife, so to speak. Figment seems to be on good terms with the spirits here. And seems to be able to actively communicate with them.
Hey, Harwell.
Dr. Hartwell, if you please, my dear Miss Figment. Or you Dr.
Sure.
Figment.
I am not Dr. Figment. I'm just Figment.
Smiles. By the way, Bishop, I assume I got some kind of confirmation from the pulling in of my favor. Not sure if it's in writing or if it just was a analogous. Yeah.
You've been noted that the in fact, your debt has been paid and the appropriate boons have been leveraged to match the scale of your own.
Good. I haven't seen your sire in quite some time, Miss Figment. I must say I'm looking forward to a brief conversation. You seem to be quite familiar with many of the spirits here.
I
For the
live
record,
here.
you will notice that Hartwell's eyes do follow them, showing that he knows where they are. You can clearly see them.
Yep. Of course. Said I've made it my business to try to make sure that things stay relatively smooth between the different occupants of this city, at least in that particular regard.
I now understand why it is you went to the mysteries, not the dying light, if it helps. We needed something of a ghost diplomat.
Yeah. Seemed to make sense. Though I do enjoy the research side of things. My, I guess, unique abilities made me a little more suited for this particular role, at least in an official capacity.
Quite understandable.
As you talk, you see some of the ghosts begin to drift away from one of the entrances. Their shrouded ephemeral heads turning to something that they find alarming or unpleasant. They begin to move back towards Figment or their anchors, their graves.
That's probably Daphne here.
It's stop calling her Daphne. She will smite you.
It's Daphne, right?
Delphine.
Delphine.
I'm just gonna. It's not like it's on the Discord or anything.
Look.
It's not like I told you multiple times.
Look.
It's fine.
Do what I want.
We'll forget things. It's not like still swing a forum. Oh wait, they all are. Anyway. Figment, you are correct as the Baroness. Pictured, one second, in the what you see. Oh, that not work. Come on. There we go. Approaches. The ghosts seem to dislike her heart well, or seem to be wary of her. Some more so than others. They seem much more well adjusted around Figment.
Hartwell is going to step forward and offer a polite bow. A pleasure to see you again, honored adept.
Doctor? Likewise. I see you must be quite confident, Figment. She simply says, I see you must feel quite confident, Figment.
That sounds ominous.
I expected a larger party.
I asked a couple people to come. Also didn't think we wanted this to be overly discreet. Or the opposite of that.
But you did not guarantee the aid of those you reached out to. She lets the brief silence hang in the air before changing topic.
Well, Dr. Hartwell here was willing to offer some quite interesting advantages to them.
Yes, so I have heard.
On our behalf.
Myself and your sire exchanged letters on the topic. I've also brought this. He taps his briefcase as a means to sweeten the deal. You hear a click, 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 click as he's going to open it. Inside, you will see 3 tiny vials containing 3 very small measures of vampiric bodily ash. They are denoted. One is for the Greyman, one is for Verve, and one is for the former Kogan. I have no doubt a necromancer would find great use for these.
Much more than most. Your contributions are noted.
At the end of the day, he will say as he closes the briefcase, I have full faith in Figment here, and I'm curious though, is this a personal matter, Adept, or is this a matter on behalf of the Ordo?
She pauses for a moment and simply says, "It is my own pursuit.
That answers that question. He smiles.
I guess you could say it is a matter more related to the blood than that of our organization. Though it is a happy coincidence that so many of our organization appear to have decided to involve themselves. At this point, Julian can arrive. Don't forget to make your feeding roll.
It also seems to me the more people involved, the more people are going to want a piece of what we're doing and information about what we're doing.
True.
Considering neither of our bloodlines are overly forthright with information, I don't know how many more people you actually want to involve. Plus, if he just kills me, then, Hammer of the Ordo comes down on them? Maybe? Or I just get literally swept under the rug.
I
whichever.
would come down on them if that were to occur. They would
Aww,
not want that.
Thanks.
The Ordo is in a complicated situation, as I'm sure the Baroness here could tell you better about than I can. But, don't worry. If you, in the event of your death, I'm sure some kind of retribution can be arranged.
Make sure the rug I'm swept under is nice.
Cashmere, of course.
Am I going to end up in your briefcase?
No, I collect only those who I have killed. Or been
I
involved
thought
in
you were
death
going to
of.
say this is only for important kindred.
Oof. If the Baron really was so foolish as to make an attempt on any of your lives during these negotiations, well, not only would he incur my wrath, but likely those of the Prince and the Seneschal. That is where this meeting is to take place. In Wandsworth.
Lovely.
I reached out to the Seneschal, as she has a history.
Who is the Seneschal currently, Chris?
Her name is Esther Grimald. She is also a baroness. She
What's the
runs
binder
several
thing?
inner city boroughs, so she's one of the most powerful baronesses in addition to her position as Seneschal.
Is she Invictus?
She is Invictus, she is a Ventru, and an Elder.
Of what clan?
Pardon?
Clan?
Oh, I said Ventru.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Thank you. Wonderful.
Ian will arrive quietly to the location at hand. He will nod the lady and to Hartwell, and I don't think he's met Figment before.
I don't think so. So she'll look over at Delphine. Delphine, did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared now. She'll kind of look over at her when Julian walks up. Like, do you know this guy? Same thing at Hartwell.
Before I
See you again, Dr. Goodman.
Oh, you do know him. Good.
I reached out for public assistance prior to my discussion with you.
Well, I guess that's good since I'm apparently bad at making friends. Hello, I'm Figment.
Julian will present his hand on the shake hers, and will look over to Hartwell and says, "We have a tendency to gather a lot of children." He kind of puts emphasis on this.
Who are you calling children?
Considering the person who you refer to as a child, their parent is standing right there. He points towards the Baroness. I'd be very careful with that. She's not mine, I assure you. She has decent blood.
I guess then maybe the proper term I should be using is proteges, but I guess I was mistaken still.
Oh, if Madame Figment is far too intelligent to be my protege, I assure you.
Well, it's good to meet you, Figment. So I worked with Delphine before. She's more than adequate. So, and obviously, she is getting places. He says Baron.
Figment shall be leading the negotiations. There are some ground rules I wish to clear before you meet with Eubanks's representatives. The first is this: I shall own no blood boons, neither shall I hand over my blood to the Baron, nor those of my bloodline or my childer. I shall also not allow my barony to be carved up into pieces and hand away territory. I am, however, willing to allow access to various locations within my domain. For those of you who are not who are here who are not aware, Baron Eubanks is of a particular breed of Maquette who practices kindred necromancy.
Is there anything you wouldn't want to give access to, aside from the obvious?
I would not grant access to the London Tower itself, at least not under strict supervision. I would be willing to do so under supervision, but not without.
That makes sense. Chris, since I'm the high muckety muck now who deals with this, I take it that is she talking about the Tower of London?
Yes.
I take it that's a worm's nest.
Yes, you're all Ordo, so you're all aware that it is a worm's nest that is controlled directly by the Baroness, and she allows very few to no one to go there. Very few kindred have access to it, and most who do have only temporary access. Few people have an open invitation.
I take it, since of her particular proclivity and also knowing what the Tower of London was historically used for, I think the resonance of that particular dragon's nest could be very suitable for things like the dead and necromancy.
It is generally all but public knowledge that it is very much a haunted nest.
You actually hear him say, I really do need to update the list. Yeah. A list of dragon's nests. It's a long-term project. Don't worry about it.
There's probably a list somewhere.
There is. It's just woefully out of date.
In any case, does anybody have any other questions?
And so specifically, what are we asking for? I know we want information, we want knowledge, and we want ideally to learn what his blood knows, right?
That would be the most optimal goal. I doubt it will be put forward similar to how I would not put forward the secrets of my own blood before him. But if you can secure that, I would be willing to sacrifice much in order to see it happen.
As it stands, Hartwell will say, we are all Ordo here. His eyes cast around, once again making sure, and I would be very, how would I say, disinclined to think that my own colleagues would betray my trust. I have leveraged certain very large boons on behalf of certain former seated monarchs of this city who have called them in on my behalf, leveraging a lot of status in my clan upon said Baron. I believe that kindred necromancy due to these actions may be placed on the table. He has rather had his arm twisted.
If so, then you are then do perceive that as an option. Be wary of overpaying. If they are forced to put the secrets of their blood on the table, then it will certainly make it costly, perhaps unreasonably, to acquire it. That would be little better than not possessing it at all.
I'm curious. He looks at her directly and he says, how much would you like to be... There is something that I could offer them, but if I were to do so, you would more than likely owe significant boons to an individual within our organization.
Then no.
You would rather not owe members of the Ordo boons?
Not in this situation. Perhaps in another.
As you like.
So, we are just so I'm clear on what we're doing. This is more diplomacy to establish a relationship.
Yes, I had, well... If what the good doctor says is true, and I have no reason not to believe him, of course, then perhaps that relationship, or this trade, if you will become much stronger more quickly. And intended simply to arrange for swapping of various, or the trading of various abilities both of our respective branches of our clans are capable of. However, if there is more, then that would prove useful as well.
Paul kind of strokes his chin, and he says, Figment, during our last little jaunt, you said that you had the ability to take essence from ghosts or creatures on the other side of the shroud and use it to fuel you. I believe you called it plasma. Yep. She looks at Delphine. A contemplation. Would it be possible of this material to present to them.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
He's basically saying, would it be possible to get a sample of plasm? It is something that only your kind can extract, I am led to understand, due to the nature of your gift, and could be a powerful necromantic reagent. Even if we do not trade them the ability to gather it, we could always agree to provide them with a certain amount of it. Giving them a small taste this evening could prove valuable.
Is it something I could physically give?
Figment, you could give any plasma you have collected. You know you can take essence from ghosts and convert it into plasm. You also know you can absorb plasm that ghosts leave behind. Sometimes their manifestations, their powers produce plasm as a byproduct, which you could
Gotcha. I wasn't sure if it was a physical thing.
It is. It is sort
Okay.
of. It is sort of like a viscous liquid that is often pale, like silver or a pale blue. Sometimes a malignant green or yellow. Its forms vary, but it is at least consistent in that it is a sort of invisible viscous liquid that only you can really interact with, and others like you.
They might have a use for necromantic go juice, and if we present them with here's a small sample of it, we can get you more, they might be willing to bite for it. Haha, bite for it, vampires.
I'll BRB for a moment to let that sink in, allow you to discuss.
I could.
He just very casually reaches into the fold of his coat, takes out a small glass beaker or a vial and tosses it to you. Yeet.
Thanks.
I find it's always good to carry glass vials with you.
Oh no, I've got a bunch around here.
See, you never know when you're going to need them. And it's always better to be prepared.
It's also very important to label them. I've learned that the hard way a few times.
You're not wrong. How many times have I drunk formaldehyde?
Julian will ask amongst ourselves. It's like, well, I do have a question. What is our, what's our ground zero? What's our worst possible option in this negotiation that we're willing to keep? Or maybe should we, with the worst possible option, simply that there is no agreement, should we stall for time or push the issue?
Well, like I said, I think the base goal here is to establish a relationship with them. We've not always had great relations in the past, and we know that they want information from us, at the very least. They want to know the secrets of our blood. They want to know what it is we're doing. We've caught spies of them.
At the very least, I think we're walking away from this. I think that the way I'll phrase it is, if we can get the necromancy, excellent. If not, we should walk away with something of tangible benefit. But I don't think that.
I think a relationship is kind of the overwhelming goal here. Worst case scenario is we don't even establish that. Mm-hmm. I would be willing to take less if it meant an opportunity for further conversation down the road. Like, I think what benefits all of us is if we are able to leave this negotiation with an ongoing conversation rather than just a one-for-one deal, if that makes sense.
As I've said, some large boons have been paid. I think that doors that were unexpected will now open. But we shall see.
Mm-hmm. You haven't pissed any of them off recently, have you?
I've never met one.
Well, that's a good start. How about you, Julian? You pissed off any necromancers recently?
No, just something black and a club recently.
Just something what? The what?
There's something made out of obsidian, glowing eyes, in a club. Nobody noticed that he was made out of obsidian. But I did.
Oh, I'm gonna have to ask Bishop to make a roll when he gets back.
Yeah, that's going to be an occult roll for me.
Sounds like a whole bunch of my problem.
Which, as far as I know, is going to be mainly a me problem. But
Hooray!
I mean, it's I'm not really trying to make more enemies, so I'm trying to console this entity, and I need to work through it to gather some information.
Is it a ghost?
No, it's very real. It was a
I mean,
physical
ghosts are
entity.
real.
No, as in, it was tangible. It could interact with the world. People noticed it. It just didn't notice that it wasn't mortal.
Well, that's weird.
It wasn't obfuscation. It's just simply nobody noticed.
There's also a self-help group that's being run by evil vampires.
That's not unusual. Easy way to get blood.
Doesn't sound very helpful.
Well, no, it's not typically very helpful, but I don't think that typically matters.
Well, if they're calling themselves a self-help group and they're not being very helpful, it's disappointing.
We should write an immediate letter.
Right?
As long as they're not as long as they're not causing a stink with the mortals, yes, it's unethical, but I don't think it should be high priority right now.
1-star Yelp review. What I'm doing.
She'll
Did not
do it.
help.
She's crazy.
1 out of 5 stars.
I am curious. Looking over to Figment, I thought Delphine had control of the Eiffel Tower. We investigated that place before the shift of power occurred.
You mean the Tower of London?
Tower of London. Blah. I don't know why I said Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, she does.
She does. She just doesn't like other people in there, if she can help it.
It's understandable. It's a rather potent dragon's nest.
Yep. Ghosts get rather touchy when you mess with their stuff.
Indeed.
It's basically a full-time job convincing them that she's okay. Don't tell her I said that.
She's standing right next to you.
Damn it! I always forget.
She's literally right there. You're literally in a meeting with her. What do you expect?
I know. It's fine. I take nothing back. Figured definitely just said that in front of her.
She sort of looks at you with very cold eyes.
Well, I mean, you're not overly personable to them. You kind of eat them a lot. Say it. Smiles and tries to be charming.
I trade with them. And sometimes those trades favor me over them and vice versa.
I believe that we have all we need, though, in that case.
Oh, I did want to make an occult roll because Julian was talking about the black person thing that he encountered.
The what?
The Obsidian Man. At that Indian nightclub.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to use cryptic words so I don't just straight up say what it is. Because for one, Julian doesn't know what it is.
Can I make it a occult roll based on his description of what he just said?
Yeah, you can all make occult rolls.
Do my specialty in Strix, Ghosts, or Changelings apply?
You'll get +1 dice as one of your specialties does apply here.
It's Changelings, isn't it?
Let's find out.
Is it Ghosts? Because I have a specialty in Ghosts.
No.
Damn it. Shit, I forgot to pick an intelligence specialty. Oh, wait, is that a thing in this game? Do you pick them for attributes or just skills? Okay, never mind.
Just skills.
Gotcha.
That was
Alright.
a terrible roll, but I still got one success.
Okay, so Hartwell, given the rather sort of open-ended description, he's not entirely sure.
2 successes.
Okay, then both Figment and Hartwell notice. Could you've heard of creatures that look like this? The yellow eyes are quite ominous. It doesn't sound too. It sounds very Strix-esque.
Yes, it does.
So wait, is it a Strix?
But then you know of creatures with similar looking eyes that are not possessed. Could be something fey. Probably not a spirit. Figment. You're almost certain it's not a ghost, unless it has the ability to manifest. Some ghosts do. They usually. But normally it's not easy for a ghost to manifest physically. They generally need the ability to the area generally needs to be attuned to deathly energies for them to be able to do that. So it's almost certainly not a ghost, and you've never really heard of a ghost that looks explicitly like this. So it's probably something else. Definitely not natural, definitely a supernatural of some variety. What's concerning is how it was just in a club and nobody seemed to care.
Chris, if I saw it, would I be able to get more information or make another roll on the topic?
If you located it and used all specs on it, yes.
Well, no, I was just going to read Julian's mind to get a picture of it.
Oh. Keep in mind, Julian may be aware that you're reading his mind.
If it's a Strix, fucked if I care. Sorry, my inner kibit is going. I'll get up the roll. Give me just a second. Lay open the mind. Intelligence plus socialness plus aspects versus resolve plus blood potency.
Plus my other merit. Why you gotta do this?
I'll be back in just a minute if you're doing brain shit. I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
Brain shit.
Indomitable, I believe. I forgot the exact wording.
Yeah. If you intend to implant this is a formality. I don't think you intend to do this, but if you intend to implant thoughts or a condition, which you can do with all specs for, Julian's indomitable merit would apply. If not, then it won't. I'll look over the interaction between these two merits later. It's not super important right now.
I'm not going to implant. I just want to get a clear mental image of the thing.
That's fine.
Intelligence plus socialize. Yeah, as I said, the only reason I'm doing this I wouldn't normally is because Hartwell would be like Strix.
You can always ask Julia if the Strix. Of course, he'll tell you he doesn't know. He still hasn't met one yet.
That is 4 successes.
Resolve plus blood potencies. I think that's 4 dice. Then I think a double does affect me on just general mental attacks, but either way.
Yeah, I'll look at it later. It may be that it would just apply straight, but it's not super important right now.
2.
Okay. Then, while you're able to pluck a memory or two from Julian's mind.
I just like the memory of what that thing looked like, please.
Okay, I'll give you. I will send you the. I'll send you the image of it.
I'm down to 9 blood.
There you go. You see this man. Yeah, his skin is literally obsidian black. As is his hair, actually. His eyes are a deep yellow. They look like a Strix's, but the rest of his body does not. He wears loose-fitting clothes. Surprisingly colourful shirt. which almost looks like Pollock just spilled a bucket of paint on it.
Hmm.
And loose jeans. In what appears to be a nightclub of sorts. Although it's quite bright in here. If you were looking directly at him in this club, you would definitely be blinded as per the habit's tendencies to avoid light.
The next thing I'll pluck out in his mind is, where was this?
Apparently, you remember through Julian's memories a club called the Melting Pot. Appears to be a club that veers somewhat towards the Indian demographic of London.
Cool.
The man himself does have features that would maybe make him look Indian if he didn't look so unnatural. Like, you can see the resemblance now that you think about it. But obviously nobody has pitch dark skin and
Yellow eyes.
Bright yellow eyes, yeah.
Hartwell makes a mental note. I've got a Strix to kill later.
So, that is what you see. Julian, you are aware that your mind has been probed. You're not entirely sure what's been taken or looked at, though. But you're aware it's been. You're aware that someone has sought to look into your mind.
Julian's eyes kind of perk up, and he begins quickly looking left and right. And because Juliet is Juliet, he'll look over to Delphine and just simply say, "Did you read my mind?"
Was your mind worth reading?
Apparently it was. I
No,
thought somebody
because I
digging
didn't.
in there. And you already answered my question there, Figment. Hartwell.
I am kind of curious, Chris, how he knows.
Because I'm saying he can know.
Okay,
He,
that's a good reason to say.
he got successes on the check to resist, and it's a PvP scenario in the sense that it's two players contesting on something. He's also a vampire of some experience. He'd be aware. Like, he's been around for a few decades now. If he were a fresh neonate, then he probably wouldn't be aware. But he's not a fresh neonate. Neither of you are. If you got an
Alright, well,
exceptional
we'll say-
success, I would have probably allowed it to be undetectable, but you only got 2, or 4. And he succeeded on that to partially resist.
Hartwell will say, "Apologies, dear boy, but it appears as, how would one best say this? Matter of, civic good health. It appears as though you just had a rendezvous with the Strix.
I don't know about that.
I needed to make sure you were still you." Hmm?
I don't know about that. I didn't respond in any ways like these stories of Strix I've been told. And of course, you could have just asked me.
I needed a picture.
And
It's worth
again,
1,000
you could have
words,
just
you know.
asked me. I was like, that's what gets you in trouble all the time, Hartwell. You just do. You don't ask.
Hartwell smiles, showing his fanged teeth, and he says, "How would he carefully phrased there. I was also making sure, my dear friend, that you were you. Oddly enough, that's my bloodline's job.
He simply kind of squeezes against his brow, and his fingers against his brows, and just simply says, "Next time, if you do something like that again, I won't be so pleasant."
Cute. Anyway, we're gonna go do the thing.
As my child has said, I believe we're done here.
Quite so.
Location you are to meet with the Baron's representatives is Wandsworth Town Hall. It is in the north side of the borough, along the A3.
Sounds classy. I have no idea if it sounds classy or not. That's just the thing I'm saying.
Hardly, but I hope you'll return to me with good news. I shall be waiting at the London Tower when you are done. Call me prior to your arrival so that I may make arrangements for you to enter safely.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Baron.
My car and driver are just outside. We might as well go in some semblance of style. And fast.
Oh, is it the car that was in the race?
Yeah.
Nice.
You want to know something funny?
Huh?
It's a 2-seater, baby.
Can I ride on the roof?
No.
Oh,
You have enough masquerade breaches.
that's fair.
Is it actually a 2-seater?
I'll double check, because most of these really fast cars are, right? Because...
What kind of car is it?
Wait, actually, let me check, because I know what it's based off of. Yeah, it's a two-door coupe.
I got my
Slash
bike.
well.
Sad face.
It's fine. We
Yeah,
can Uber.
Yeah, I did double check. I wanted to make sure. But
No, it's fine. I think it's funny. We can Uber.
You can Uber. Alright, yeah, I mean, yeah, Ubers are all out now. So, yeah, you get a taxi. Over to Wandsworth. When you arrive, you're over to Town Hall, a relatively old, rather wide, blocky building. It's sort of white, but it's clearly browning and greying as the years have gone by. You can see the Union Jack flying off of one of the masts on the roof. It's about a few stories tall, about 3 to 4.
Any ghosts hanging around?
No ghosts here.
Interesting.
Outside of cemeteries and particular hotspots, ghosts tend to be far and few between in your experience.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I'm just curious if they were traveling with the people we're meeting. I will send a text to Delphine, kind of right before we go in, just being like, hey, we're here, we're heading in. Pick out a nice rug for me.
Just get a response of, I see. It's very formal. No, no text speech.
Just-
No, it's all correctly spelled.
That's fair. I'm just establishing we are going in, so if we disappear forever, that's the last thing we were doing.
There's somebody waiting outside. Like someone of a predatory aura. I'll just show you their image on the. There you go. A young-looking
Or
man.
Mr. Ben Allen.
No, it's not. His name is not Ben Allen.
I know.
Pale skin. Rather sharp eyes. That seem to be on perpetual alert.
Oh, was I given a name of the person I'm meeting?
No.
Chris, do I feel a modicum of blood sympathy towards this personage?
No.
Oh, so he's not a maquette?
Nope.
Yeah.
Blood sympathy is passive. It doesn't always trigger. You can will it by spending a willpower point and forcing a roll.
Okay.
But that's specifically your choice. So. No, the man is simply waiting sort of off to the side of the entrance.
Does he look like he's waiting for someone?
Sort of. He's just leaned up against the wall, his hands in his pockets.
Mm-hmm.
You can make me, everybody can make me intelligence politics roll. -2 dice. This figure's not particularly well known. But they are known.
So we won't roll. It'd be a chance die for him.
Can I spend willpower on this? Or is that just combat?
You can spend willpower. Like, gives
That's
you
3 extra dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I will do that. One success.
I have 2.
Okay, so for those who scored successes, you are aware that this is an Archon. Goes by the name of Markham. Not
Archon
as well
Markham?
known as some of the other Archons. Doesn't have the same reputation or mystique that some of the other enforcers of the princedom have, but he definitely is. He is one of them, one of the longest standing ones. He's been an Archon since the former prince, so he is one of the older Archons, not simply a new addition meant to pad the king and queen's political power.
Would he be a person that I am supposed to... Would he be the person I'm supposed to meet with, or would he probably just be here, like, basically standing guard? Or would he be here for unrelated reasons?
Archons don't stand guard for anything unless it's for a purpose. City's far too big to stand guard patrolling buildings.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, is he here... Like, would it make sense for him to be here to meet me, or would it make sense for him to just sort of be here for a different reason?
I mean, given that you're not aware of anything else happening at this establishment, he's probably here to meet you.
Fair enough. What was his name? Markham?
Markham. One second,
Markham.
Let me put it in the chat for you. There you go.
She will walk over. She'll walk over to him. Good evening.
Evening. You're here to represent Paquette, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. Alright.
She'll put his hand out, or she'll put her hand out to shake. Figment.
He shakes your hand, not very enthusiastically. He doesn't look particularly happy to be here. His hand is cold and placid like any kindred's. Alright. You Banks' people are already here, so I'll just show you up.
Yeah.
As he'll walk you into the building and take you up a couple of floors. As he walks through, he says, I'm here to ensure the safety of both parties. If anybody on either side does something that is untoward or violent, I'm going to step in. I'm going to step in hard.
Great, that's what I like to hear.
See, no getting swept under the rug.
Julia just simply nods.
She'll introduce, this is Dr. Hartwell and, is it Dr. Goodman or Mr. Goodman?
Dr. Goodman.
Dr. Goodman.
Eventually, you'll make your way up to what appears to be some sort of conference room. Looks relatively nice. Upper end. It is a town hall, after all. A sort of hexagonal table that has been stretched out to be a lot thinner than it otherwise would be. A flat screen TV at the one end of the room. A small table at the other end that looks like it would serve snacks or refreshments of some sort, and about a dozen chairs on either side, or on both sides total. And you see these two figures. They both have predatory auras.
Ah, my good friend Nab.
There you go.
Good evening.
Hello.
Man will stand up first and go to shake your hand. Good evening. My name is Gavin Biol. I'm of Clan Ventru. This is Bianca. David the Sanctified will be representing the barony of Baron Eubanks this evening. It is a pleasure.
You as well. You can call me Figment. This is Dr. Goodman and Dr. Hartwell. We're here on behalf of the Baron Delphine.
Chris, I am going to spend a willpower to force the blood sympathy roll on the girl, if that is okay.
Okay.
What do I roll?
It is, if I recall, let me double check here. Wits plus blood potency, plus any additional dice from blood sympathy, which you do not get here.
I get a success.
You do not think she is of your blood or your clan. You receive no impression from her. You sense nothing within your blood that connects you to her. It is simply an empty void between you. Gavin Beale will shake all of your hands. Bianca will snap her book shut and sort of lower her glasses slightly so she can get a better look at you all. She looks quite hale for a kindred. Her skin is bright, and when she rises to shake your hands, is very is surprisingly warm. She's not as cold as Gavin's hand is. Although she is quite, she has she seems a little bit standoffish. She's quite formal, brusque with you. But she does give you a pleasant smile, if nothing else. And she simply, when she returns to her seat, she simply replaces her book. She places her book on her lap and will take out a small notepad as if to take notes of the meeting, order minutes.
You will forgive me, but I had rather been thinking that we would be dealing with members of the, if not the good Baron himself, but members of his own blood kin.
Ah, yes, my apologies. The Baron's own child was to be present, however, an emergency occurred.
Hope everything's okay.
I have as much trust in our good Baron as I do in his child.
Chris, can we perception empathy them to see what's the vibe there? I could use Auspex, but I'm going to try and hold back because I don't know if, how it will go down here, so I'm not going to use the power. But can we P&E them basically to see how they're feeling?
Sure.
What is the roll for that? And this is wits plus empathy, I believe.
Yeah, roll me wits, empathy. The highest manipulation of these characters is 3, so -3 dice.
I'm going to spend a willpower for this. So that's going to be 3 plus... So that's going to be... Two successes.
Okay. So you think he's being, so from what you can, from how he speaks, you think he's being genuine when he says, the Baron's child couldn't be here. When he says they were drawn away because of an emergency, you think that's a polite spin. It's not entirely
Do I register
false,
any concern?
but it's not exactly the most honest statement either.
do I register any like concern for him? Like, you know, when you're like, oh, he's fine, when he's actually like reeling around on fire down the back garden.
No, both individuals seem quite calm. Gavin almost seems casual in his approach to you all. He seems very friendly and extroverted. Quite happy to engage in a bit of chit chat. Asks Figment. He says he'll have to ask Figment how she got her name once these negotiations are over.
Ask who? How she got her name?
How Figment got her name.
Apparently, I'm hard to find.
Bianca is a bit seems to be definitely the more quiet one. A bit more observant. Does engage in a bit of light talk here and there, but definitely seems to be following Gavin's lead socially.
So, in order to make sure that we are both on the same page before I allow my dear compatriot here to open our negotiations, you are, I assume, allowed to make decisions that the Baron himself will support, etc., 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 mere point of formality.
Well, yes, we have been empowered to speak on the Barony's behalf. I assume the same is true of you. I mean, if not,
Indeed.
then we may be at something of an impasse.
Waste of an Uber ride.
And you've been brought up to speed as to the nature of certain trades and the value of what it is that will be prospectively laid upon the table, etc.
Yes. As I've said, we've been empowered to speak on the Baron's behalf and make offers on his behalf and accept offers on his behalf.
Wonderful. All the I's dotted and the T's crossed, what?
Oh yes. Well, if we weren't, then we'd just be a bunch of neonates discussing what we'd like to be able to do, but can't. That'd be...
I find that that's most neonates.
Yes, it would be terribly awkward.
Most things are. Anyway. It does seem the Baron's been quite interested in our comings and goings recently.
I imagine the interest appears to have been mutual. He'll take a seat and I'll ask if anybody else likes to take a seat.
Sit.
Sitting.
If I may ask, what is it that the good Baroness is specifically interested in?
Well, most immediately, we'd like to open up communications, as sending certain parties in for information without a conversation doesn't seem to be getting anybody anywhere. But as a goal, we'd like information. I assume you all are interested in similar trades.
Knowledge of particular things pertaining to perhaps the less than natural.
Or more than natural, depending on how you look at it.
Not a... well... I'm not a participant of such things outside of being what I am. But I am well aware of my Baron's tastes in that regard.
Quite so. Well then, why don't we let you make the opening salvo in terms of offers, and then we shall go to counter offers.
Well, that is why I asked what your Baroness would be interested in. Knowledge It's all well and good, but knowledge of specifically what?
Kind of looks at Figment. Actually, hey Terry, will you accept a psychic phone call?
I guess.
It basically just lets me talk to you without actually moving my lips.
Uh-huh.
Are you cool with that?
Sure.
Yep. Does cost a veto to use?
Yep. So that brings me down to 8.
Yeah. So can I make a what is it? I don't know if it would be manipulation, expression roll, just for the context of this conversation.
You can roll me manipulation plus expression to open one of their doors, or to raise. Actually, no. Better yet, raise their impression of you.
Okay.
What that basically means is that they'll go from an average impression to a friendly impression, which allows you to attempt to convince them of things more frequently. You'd only be able to make run roll to convince them of something during this night if their impression of you was average. But if they're friendly with you, then you'd be able to make more checks.
Nice. The social dies, the extra social die I got from fashion, does that apply to this?
She looks so businesslike. Chris?
Chris, hello.
Not really.
I mean, if it's first, I mean, if this is if this is essentially a roll for first impressions.
I'll give it to you.
Sweet.
Spend the willpower of the extra 3 dice plus 6 dice.
Yeah.
That's so many dice.
Good. Rolled. You wanted to roll dice.
I'm gonna save. I'm not gonna spend the willpower because I want to save that in case something else fuckery happens. Really?
That's.
Oh, dear.
That's.
Wait, why is that? Oh, it's diff 8.
That's Requiem, baby.
Ah.
Hang on, let me go and desperately look at my own dice pool.
That's very entertaining.
I'm not nearly as good at this.
I think it'd be more, to be fair, actually, Figment, I'll allow you to re-roll this because it should not be expression, it should be socialize.
Oh.
Because that is actually, so etiquette is determined by socialize.
Yeah, I have less dice than that. I'm gonna spend a willpower then.
Oh, there you go.
Plus 6 dice!
Yeah, I should have told you shouldn't be using expression anyway, because it's not appropriate for this role.
Gotcha. Okay, so that would be 2 plus 6 is unspendable power. Oh, there we go. 2 successes.
You got 2 successes, so what you do is that their impression of you goes from average to good, which allows you to make a roll per night. So it's better than once per week. And any form of gifts or bribes you also offer will move them 1 step up the chart.
Noted.
So, Figment, yeah, you're able to build a rapport with Gavin as you speak. Bianca remains fairly distant, but polite.
I lost train of thought of where we were actually going with this.
He was basically saying, what do you want to put?
Oh, what do you want?
So, basically, the reason Hartwell is just kind of linking minds with you is, well, obviously, it lets us talk without me needing to, talk to them.
Right.
I say we ask what price they'll put on the necromancy, just to throw it out there, see what they'll say, and see if we can see what we can give them to try and wheedle it down. Basically, like let's go out there with for the whole hog and just see how much the whole hog will cost.
Mm-hmm.
Because they might say some ridiculous price, then they won't be talked off it. But if we can talk them off it, then that's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. All right. So when he asks, she'll say, "It's like, well," and I assume that your Baron has this idea, but the idea to learn the disciplines that he specializes in, specifically the ability to do necromancy, if we're throwing out what we're really looking for.
Yes. I've been informed by my Baron that he would be willing to offer up such closely guarded secrets to the good Baroness, but that the secrets of the blood would no doubt require a payment of blood in return. It's only a fair trade, after all. Particularly given that often such secrets aren't shared at all, after all.
How many more interesting things to trade in, though?
This, for example, if I may present one of our counter-offers. Hartwell will open his briefcase. He clicks it open. Click, 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 click. Allow me, I'm sorry, do either of you possess the gifts of Auspex, yea or nay? If you don't mind my asking.
Bianca sort of tilts her wrist up as if to say, yes.
Wonderful. Allow me to present you a very humble offering. Well, humble, I say. He takes one vial out and puts it down on the table. This is a sample of ashes taken from the body of the infamous Greyman, who I assume it is public knowledge that I executed on the prince's order. This is a sample of ashes from the former leader of the Guillotines, known as Verve, and this is a sample of ashes from the late Kogon. All incredibly potent psychoactive mystical materials, almost invaluable to a necromancer's work. You may test them for their you may verify them if you wish.
She doesn't look at the ashes, Hartwell. She looks at you. But she then looks back to Gavin and says, "These are legitimate." Gavin sort of lean forward ever so slightly and he'll say, "May I just take a look at one of them?"
By all means, though, I would ask, there's only a small sample in each. Be very careful to physically touch them.
Oh, of course, I wouldn't wish to tamper with them in any way. He just picks one up in this little vial and sort of holds it. And sort of puts it to his eye. Rotates it slightly. That is quite the collection you have there. It's quite old.
Whose ashes is he looking at? Hartwell knows them all because they've got different coloured caps, basically.
He seems to have expressed a particular interest in the Kogans.
Quite so. The more emotional resonance that these items have and possess, the more blood they have shed, the longer their lives, the more psychoactive they become. As I said, if you're dealing with anything that has a negative emotional resonance, as I'm sure necromancy does, invaluable reagents.
Do you have more of these ashes? Or of these particular individuals, I mean?
He hasn't given them all of them because he wants to keep some for himself. Obviously, he's just given them a teeny little bit.
Yeah.
He'll say, I
Well,
do.
I'll say, of the other two you do, you won't have much more after this, but you will have some. When it comes to Kogan, though, because you're only given a pinch of her ashes, this will be it for her.
Of that particular one, in theory, they could possibly be acquired, but I don't have them at the moment. But if an agreement was reached, Bishop, could I leverage my status to get more if they exist?
You could leverage your mentor, but they would only be able. They wouldn't be willing to give you any more than what they give you at that point. Like once you've gotten your next file, that's it, because they're not in the business of being charitable, as it were. No,
Malphas is a man who wants results.
He wants results, and he's not. He's well known for being quite cagey. So he's not in the business of giving stuff up, in general.
In theory, more could be acquired. Is it something that you have interest in?
I believe if you could acquire more of these ashes specifically, would be most appreciated. It will go quite a distance towards resolving little impasse here.
I don't think we're at an impasse, my friend. We've only just begun our discussions, but yes, more could be acquired. Yeah. Looks at Figment, I'm happy to submit more, or rather the attempt to acquire more of these particular ashes for the negotiation's sake. He nods his head. Helping!
Yeah. In addition to that, there are other components we would be prepared to offer. Not blood. I am not authorized to agree to that. However,
Terry, as a brief reminder, because I'm not sure what you heard, or I'm not sure, actually, Chris, can you provide a clarification? She said she wouldn't give her blood. She was very specific about. Did she say yours? I don't remember.
Yeah, she did specifically. Yeah, okay. She specifically said.
She said she wouldn't give for blood of either herself or of the bloodline in general. She was quite. She was not interested in, because she's. Let's just say she was aware that Figment could be used in that fashion and was not interested in allowing that loophole to be used. She did specifically mention her, like, neither herself or her bloodline will be giving up their blood in general. She was quite clear on that.
Weird question. Does she care more about the blood, or does she care about, I can't say the name of your guys' special style ability?
I don't think she's prepared to give it up.
Yeah.
Essentially,
you'd have to, if you wanted that
distinction. Because it's a merit, so you can't, it's not something you could really learn anyway. It's a merit. Hence why they want the blood.
Hartwell could gouge your fangs out of your head and implant them into somebody else to give them that power.
That would probably be the same as blood, and no.
Okay. That's entirely fair.
Anyway. We have the ability, so my own abilities are different than those of the Barons. However, I think in the right context they could complement each other. I'm able to acquire certain components and certain information from ghosts that might also be in your interest and in his interest to have access to. Would also be willing to offer access to certain places under reasonable circumstances that would also aid in the projects that they're looking to complete. It is much more advantageous for us to be allies than enemies, in my opinion.
Oh, of course. I suddenly wouldn't consider you an enemy.
Good. I love if we keep it that way.
Oh.
I have an unorthodox proposal for your Baron, but I'm sure he might find it interesting. There are no doubt members of his court whom, or indeed his inner circle, whom are not of his blood, but whom could be of use to him. How would they feel if there are certain surgical techniques that I have mastered and pioneered? I could give them the ability to interact, see, and communicate with ghosts and other spirits. If that was something that he valued, I would be happy to do it for up to 3 people. Or kindred of his choice.
Hmm.
Would that be something the Baron would value? Essentially, Chris, I'm going to use the scale I developed to essentially surgically implant people with the medium merit, because it's a supernatural merit, and I can just basically hack it out of myself and give it to somebody else. So I developed a coil to do that. Hackety hack.
Let me look at your scare real quick. It's here somewhere because I put it down.
It's shedding the dragon's skin / grafting the unholy flesh Mark 2.
Oh, yeah. You could probably only give it to one person, because in order to provide that merit to somebody, you'd need to cut out one of your eyes. Or your tongue. In theory, you could give it to 3 people, but you'd have to render yourself blind and unable to properly speak.
We do allow, with that one, I have to spend blood, but I do get to regrow the thing. That was the thing with it, because that's why it's level 5 rather than level 4.
It was level 5 because you didn't lose access to the merit.
Does Hartwell need an eye patch? These are life's questions.
In theory, you can be completely blind because you have the jet. It's just that if you in fact, that's actually the passive ability, so you should be fine even if you cut out both your eyes. Of course, people you know will be asking why you have no eyes. That is the only real...
I mean, first of all, to clarify, does the Baron even want it? If he does, I'll happily offer up
because
the eyes.
we like.
Yeah, I'm just sort of going over
a
what
bunch
the
of stuff.
specifics of that are, because I'm just reading up the... Well, I'll just go over the elongated version I read up now, because I put the short version on your sheet, because I don't have the long version is too big. I just want to make sure if I'm wrong, then you can just do whatever you want, and then that makes it much better.
Because that is my recollection as to how it was. It is in here somewhere.
I'm looking for it now. Is it page 3?
No, it's not on page 3. I don't think you wrote it down, old man.
Yeah, I think I just gave it a short version. Yeah, then I think the benefit was that you didn't lose access to the merit, because I think in the general version is that you do.
Cool. I mean, there's also the option of Hartwell could just use his occult influence next month, find a medium, brutally murder them, and rip their eyes out.
That's true, but there aren't many mediums.
I'm happy to kill one of the few who exist.
Call me now for your free reading.
I beg your pardon?
Call me now for your free reading.
Boom. Boom. Didn't see this in your cards, did you? Bang. Bang. But, yeah, no, if he'll say he'll do it for up to 2 people. Because, yeah, I'll definitely, I'm happy to sacrifice at least one of my eyes. But, I mean, once again, if the Baron even values it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that interlude. I was just sort of outlining the process of that, because
it's fine.
Scales and rituals. Magic.
Magic.
For Hartwell goes everywhere wearing black shades anyway, so it's not like people would even notice his eyes were missing.
Yeah, and I'm the edgy one.
Given Bianca will actually be the one to speak here, as sort of Gavin actually looks to Bianca on this topic. Given the Baron's familiarity with the spiritual and my known, I don't believe that would be necessary. But we thank you for the offer all the same.
That's entirely fine.
Well, there are plenty other offers on the table.
What
exactly?
Has Figment already... Figment was going to reference something that she wanted to provide.
Well, she said components of ghosts. Essentially, plasma. Plasma?
Plasm.
Yeah. That, and then also just access to information regarding spirits, and potentially access to locations within our domain.
Well, our Baron has expressed an interest in various locations within the Tower Hamlets. Largely the various cemeteries, of course. And the tower itself.
Of course.
And these components, you... What do you mean specifically, if I may ask?
I believe we put some in a bottle.
Yeah, she will take some. She will take out the bottle. With plasma in it. It's invisible though, isn't it?
I don't believe it would be in this current state, because it's no longer in a state of twilight.
Also, I low-key think the Baron might be looking at us through the eyes of his servant over there, so I think he could see it anyway. I low-key think that's what he's doing.
Very possibly.
Very possibly. But, so it is visible to all. Julian, you see it seems to be a thick, viscous liquid which is sort of glows lightly. It's ever so slightly luminescent. But it's otherwise completely opaque. You can't see through it. It's not like regular water at all. It's more like, almost like molten silver or some sort of molten bluish liquid. Bianca looks at it.
An agreement could more than likely be reached for a certain amount of it to be produced per month for the Baron's usage.
And as far as access, with certain agreed upon restrictions, I am authorized to allow access to said graveyards and potentially the Tower of London, again, as long as certain rules were observed.
There is also one point of interest that I think would be of significant interest to your Baron. As you are aware, no doubt, because they are powerful loci, and the Baron seems to have his eye on several of them, there are what we in our organization refer to as Dragon's Nests. Now, I am currently in the process, or will be in the next few weeks, undertaking a grand survey of more than likely the City of London as a general whole to try and catalogue as many of these loci as I'm able to do so. It's for the good of our research. We're very interested in things like geometric patterns, etc. It's a hobby. I could be persuaded to... Many of these loci are very difficult to find unless you know what it is or where it is you're looking. I happen to be one individual who tends to know where he's looking for these things. I could always alert the Baron to any previously unknown sources of such energies within his own domain and come to a suitable and equitable arrangement with him as to one or two to be given to the Ordo and whatever he wishes to be given to him to use for his own purposes. He smiled. I was going to discuss this with him anyway as a separate issue, but I might as well use it as a incentive here. It's actually what I sent Delphine a letter about, ironically.
And that would be necessary, but again, thank you. This plasm, though, it is perhaps noteworthy that she refers to it by its most formal name.
Mm-hmm.
Plasm has a few names.
Yep.
As in Ecto.
Soul stuff, death water, goop.
That stuff that Bill Murray was covered in Ghostbusters. Slime.
I got slimed.
There's a river of slime running through New York. Sorry.
If you could provide us with a gallon a month, in addition to the ashes of these most unusual specimens, we would consider that sufficient to bring down the cost of the Baron's most closely guarded gifts. Yes.
Bring it down to what?
Well, boons are... They exist in tiers, as we all know. And a number of a certain tier is not necessarily equivalent to the greater tier of another. But this would definitely would otherwise be a boon of blood or even life to simply that of a number of major boons. These are a significant number of high value reagents.
She did say she was happy to pay boons, I seem to recall.
Yeah, just as long as they're not blood boons.
Yeah.
Are very
Just for,
charitable
like-
offers, if I may say so.
Yeah. Just for reference, like is a gallon of plasma doable? Like, how much plasma are you typically getting in a sip?
Well, imagine how hard it is to get a gallon of Kindred Vitae. The answer is pretty damn hard. Because...
I'm just saying, Chris, can we build the machine, Chris?
No, stay away
No.
from my ghost.
Get out of here.
But there's a machine, Chris!
Yes, and that was, well... a source of significant conflict for the entire domain.
Womp womp.
To be fair, it wouldn't be you who'd have to get the plasma, and I think Delphine probably could if she wanted to.
I mean, anybody could if they wanted to, but it's just her concern in this is that, like,
I use
she has worked very.
Well, sorry, I use Vitae as a point of comparison because it's relatively the same in that Figment, ghosts. They don't use plasm; they use essence. Plasm is rather the sort of byproduct of their essence, or the conversion of their essence into something else, into something similar. It's basically tangible.
Right. No, I guess my concern, her thought is like, because she has worked hard to maintain a reputation with the ghosts where they trust her. So is this an amount, like, would getting this amount of plasma per month disrupt that relationship? Like, would it be so much that it is harmful to the ghost in a way that would screw up her relations with them? Okay, yes,
Ghost
that is her.
A ghost, you understand, needs essence to remain as they are, for lack of a better term. On rare occasions, you have seen ghosts that are lacking in essence, and they are desperate indeed. You have heard rumours of what happens to a ghost that no longer has the means to remain as they are, and, well, they no longer are in this world. Much like Kindred Vitae. And the other thing is that, much like Kindred with Vitae, they are loath to give it up because of that. So,
right.
and even if you try to find a diplomatic solution like levying a ghost tax, that would be extremely unpopular, even in the best case
and plus,
scenario.
like, if it's and I mean, it's one thing to just have like a gallon, but like a gallon a month indefinitely seems like it would cause a lot of issues.
A liter is more doable.
How many gallons are there? How many liters are in a gallon? I can never do the old imperial.
4.5.
Yeah.
So if you were to cut it down substantially, particularly between you and Delphine, I mean, a gallon's doable with you and Delphine. Just expect your reputation to be in the gutter and the ghost to be very hostile to you. Violent, potentially, but a liter's much more doable. It will certainly be less of a burden on the undead ecosystem, and would probably only be felt slightly by the Tower Hamlet's ghost population, particularly since Delphine generally has a larger sway of the undead under her influence than yourself.
Gotcha. Okay, and that's the case. Then I will say for that, it's like, well, as I'm sure your Baron understands, like most things, plasma is a resource, and it is not a resource that is unlimited. That is an amount that would cause issues, I think, in both of our lines of work. I could offer a liter a month, or perhaps a set amount in that regard. And again, access to locations, access to knowledge.
Roll me manipulation plus expression.
Sure.
Spend willpower. Spend willpower.
Does the 3 dice for social count?
Pardon?
Does the 3 extra social dice count for this?
Not outside of first impressions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They didn't really expect you to come here with a suit to begin with. I was being a bit charitable. They're kindred. They care less about formalities here.
Mhm.
The Archon isn't even in a suit. He's wearing a jacket.
It is a nice jacket.
Let me look fancy, man.
If it helps, you can keep the suit.
Sweet.
Do
Do I want to spend willpower on this? I don't have that much left.
you succeed?
Do it.
I think. Oh no, you're 950. My bad. So one of you got 2 successes.
Ah, just go for that. Yeah, 1 success.
Okay, you made it. All right. So, I would have said roll manipulation plus persuasion, but expression also works here, and I know it's a high dice pool for you.
Yeah.
Then you're able to convince them that a leader is a suitable compromise without necessarily increasing the cost of the Baron's secrets. Again, they're willing to accept that on a monthly basis. That's doable for you and Delphine. And I'll say that opens one of their doors. You need to open 3 doors. So you've already opened 1. You've gotten their impressions up very high now, so you can actually make a number of rolls where applicable. You said you were willing to offer them effectively access to locations under supervision, or the Baron.
Yes. Yes.
Can roll me manipulation plus expression on that as well.
One success.
Okay. If anybody wants to assist, by the way, they can. They can assist
sure.
Figment in her arguments and in her statements when she makes these expression checks. But yeah, so you're able to come to an agreement on the locations as well. Basically, access to various cemeteries and the tower under supervision. The tower you are much stricter on, as per your size instructions.
Yep.
Basically, the Baron can't just go wandering off around the tower. He has to be within the presence of either the Baroness or one of her trusted kindred aides within the tower.
That's me.
Such as, well, maybe not you,
Oh.
but somebody else.
Hang on, I'll be back in like 10 seconds.
No problem. I'm just going to go to the loo real quick.
I'm going to get a drink.
Oh dear.
Oh, back. Oh.
Oh, hello.
Oh, everybody's muted now.
No, absolutely. No, they all went to get drinks and stuff.
Oh, all right. Well, in that case, I am too. I'll be back in a second.
Dookie dookie.
Welcome back.
I too have just returned. Now armed with tea.
So, is there anything that Julian T. Goodman would wish to offer?
I'm not sure, because Julian T. Goodman's ways of socializing is either through logic or intense fear. Oh. So I would say if I could possibly assist using charisma persuasion or manipulation persuasion, and kind of going about that, kind of continue the point that, hey, we're trying to keep a mutual beneficial relationship. It's like as long as both sides stay fair and even, there's only more to gain than there is to lose.
I'm less asking if he has if you wish to assist Figment's social roles, more as like, if does he have anything to offer, like any objects, antiquities, services, boons, etc. I will say, this is sort of have Gavin chime in. He'll say, I definitely believe all of these offers add up to much. It would definitely only be, in my estimation, around 3 major boons for access to our Baron's secrets.
Oh, I completely brain spaced on something, Chris. Hartwell, because I have already offered this. Hartwell will remove an envelope from the inside of his pocket, and he will move it across the table to the Venture. It's one of those very fancy envelopes with like with like lace and trimming. Basically, it has a list of several of his most influential occult contacts and sources, because I said to him that I would basically use my influence for the benefit of the San Giovanni, so it is that they could acquire any other odd bric-a-brac and such that they might require, because, I have the status 5, so I was essentially giving them use of my status 5 when it turns back on at the end of the month.
I switched it to allies, but it's the same thing, the same effect. So.
Oh, is it not status anymore?
Yeah, I changed it to allies because it made more sense.
Why does it make more sense? I'm confused.
Yeah, allies sort of functions as the influence system for Requiem.
Okay.
So I made it allies because it just added up more. Nothing's actually changed mechanically.
Okay.
It's literally just a formality swap because it was making me mad that it was an ally. So it's just
okay, that's fine. So basically,
yeah.
it's the list of those, and basically saying, I'll use this. Well, we'll say twice on behalf of the San Giovanni, no questions asked. Because I assume their Baron is quite a big fish in the occult world, but as you said, there are only 2 or 3 people in the city who have the level of status, or allies, quote-unquote, that I do, and I don't know if he's one of them.
Still, even if he did, that would be useful.
I assume one of you can verify that I am indeed the individual in these notations and have the access to the network that I do. But that is the last thing I can throw in to sweeten the pot.
Julian, you're going to say something?
Well, it seems like outside of atypical territory and things, they want things more of a spiritual nature. Julian's more about the physical realm, but he'll put up that if they have mortal servitors and they need them to be more efficient at manual labor, he has techniques to increase their potency.
As an aside, you are running a clinic. You're going to have bodies that will need to go somewhere.
That is true.
And you're talking to a group that is a duo that is representing a necromancer.
That's true. I could start giving them bodies. Now, do they want more bodies? Of course, I would have to falsify where these bodies go, and mainly only give them John Doe's. Also, the ones that have proper locations, can't get that to them.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody would expect you to give them an army, but if you throw that in...
I'll bring up if there's if their body with no claims, they'll be sent to proper locations, hinting at them.
I'm sure that can be arranged. I'll get in touch with the Baron on that particular issue, as I'm not aware of an immediate location we'd be able to set that up off the top of my head, but I know that the Baron would be very interested in that particular offer. Very well then. Figment, I need you to make me one manipulation expression roll.
Okay.
How many boons do you want this to be reduced to?
How many boons can I reduce it to?
They're currently at 3 boons. I'll say you can get them down to 2 with these offers, and if you do, you'll successfully open all of their doors and arrange an agreement.
Sweet. Gonna try my best.
I believe in you. If you fail the roll...
Now is the time to willpower.
And now is the time to willpower. Oh, one more thing I would be willing to offer.
do it. Let's see if you fail your check first.
With
You
my...
just wanted to roll
You
nice,
wouldn't
Terry.
have
Just keep saying it to yourself.
I think with my dirge and mask, I would gain at least a couple willpower back from this whole thing if it succeeds anyway, so... So that is, with the willpower, that's gonna be 9 dice. 4 successes.
Almost an
Hey.
exceptional. Not quite an exceptional, but almost.
Of course, the last 3 dice from willpower didn't have any successes on them.
Okay, so what do you say to solidify your agreement? They already seem quite won over with all of these offers and perks and benefits being thrown the Baron's way.
As more of a, I want to say open-ended offer as wait, are you asking about the boons? Like how many boons I'm offering?
Like, what do you say to get them to agree with you? Because that is the result of this roll.
Gotcha. So, what this amounts to on our end is resources that are not only important but also flexible. We would be willing to work with you. My particular line of research, looking at both information that make a study of spirits and ghosts and the occult, not just in an academic level, but in a very practical way that is different than the Baron, but also very similar. A long-term agreement to work together, to share knowledge, to give you access to abilities and the places that we have, not only my sire and myself, but also what these individuals offer as well. In the long term, this will, I think, lead to something that will benefit you, not just in the immediate, but also in whatever projects your Baron and his associates see as important in the future. And the flexibility and reach of my own particular research is that I may be able to offer something more specially tailored if he was in the market for something ritual or a procedure or a line of study complement something that perhaps he's working on. are things that we can offer. It's more than just a one use. It is an ongoing relationship that I believe will benefit all of us.
I speak now as the representative of my particular organization as it pertains to research, development, and matters of the occult. Within reason, I entirely back what Miss Figment has said, as long as it does not pertain to our Covenant's secrets. The Ordo Dracul and its research and development branch are entirely happy to be your Baron's friend. Research compatriot moving forward into a brighter future for both parties. I think Figment has said it rather well, actually. Essentially, he's saying, as the head of research and development, I back this.
I back this. Yeah. As Dr. Hartwell had said, he has certain abilities based on research he has done that he offered. The ability to turn someone into a medium may not be something that you're particularly interested in. However, if there was something you were particularly interested in, something that would require extensive research, development, mutual knowledge on our own part, that is something I would be willing to work with the Baron in order to produce for him as part of the agreement.
We do have exceptional libraries, and as I said, as long as it does not pertain to our Covenant secrets, well, as the person who keeps the keys to most of this research, I am happy to unlock the barn door. I like how all of a sudden the Ordo is a barn in my mind.
Really on the barnyard kick.
Cannot make that agreement right now, but I will send these kind words to our Baron for his consideration. I'm sure he'll respond positively, given your continued and persistent desire to reach out. I'm sure it is something that will be reciprocated. I know if I were in his position, I certainly would.
Excellent. Well, as I said, I think open communication is far more beneficial than sneaking around. Hopefully there's no need for much more of that, or any of that. I look forward to hearing from him.
He's just going to flick out a business card for them in case the Baron ever wishes to take him up on the I'll unlock the Baron offer. Just kind of flicks the business card across the table like, there you go.
Well, I certainly don't believe any untoward behavior has occurred, but
It's not.
in regards to sneaking around, but as you say, it has definitely been most beneficial.
Indeed. I've enjoyed our meeting, and I've enjoyed meeting you too.
Well, I thank you. Then I will personally inform the Harpy and the Baron of the boons left to be registered. I shall inform the Baron of the agreement that has been struck, and of course we have an honored Archon of the Invictus here as a witness.
Hi, Archon.
I believe all that is left to do now is shake hands.
Of course.
I punch him to death, Chris. Roll initiative now, buddy.
Everybody's on
Elder
fire.
Resilience 7, get on my level. He was a Methuselah the whole time.
Doesn't even go
No.
7.
Everyone is a Methuselah. Well, the Elder Prowess Resilience goes to 7.
No.
It's everybody will shake hands. Bianca will shake everybody's hands. She seems quite intrigued with the more unnatural, supernatural offers that have been made in relation to the plasm and the ashes and the like.
I'm going to have to go approach a cagey Nosferatu about more ashes.
You will.
Gonna go
And-
hunt down some ghosts in a back alley.
Yep. Yep, you're not hunting people anymore. Um,
Can I do that without like when I is it essentially like a human where, you know, I can take some but it doesn't necessarily like destroy them or kill them or hurt them in a long-term way?
yeah, you can do that. Oh, sorry, what did you say, Julian?
I was like, I have the easy part. It's just the falsified documents.
Time to see a guy about a body.
Bodies, ghosts, and ashes. What a wonderful way to end this meeting. So, the Archon will see all of you out. And will escort you to your vehicles. And will impatiently wait for you to leave.
Bye!
You return to the Baroness. You may share the good news of her.
Didn't get swept under a rug.
I think that's where we can end the scene. Good job, Terry. Thank you, players for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.